Good morning. Golly, I've been thinking about something and I wanted to share it with you. Let me get my cup here. Just heating up some milk in my beautiful bird cup. Wearing my bird blouse. And double espresso scuro. That's what I'm going to have this morning in some warm milk. Okay. You know I wear hearing aids, right? Oh, it doesn't stick into your ear. This just helps hold it. It's on the outside. But see, this little part's the only part that goes inside. Anyhow, unless I tell people, do you know, they do not notice my hearing aids. Now, see, look. If you look right along here, you can see, I don't know if you can even see them in there, but here's the thing. I know people who need hearing aids, but they won't get them. Now, let's think about this, about getting things that you need in your life, something like hearing aids, okay? Do you really think that if you walk into a room, even if you had like a thing on your ear that was much more visible than what I've got, do you think that's what people are going to look at? I'll give you an example that I once saw. I was reading this magazine and it had an article, and it had a little cartoony picture on the front of the article of a teenage boy with a pimple right here, and the pimple was like huge. And the reason they had that cartoon is because it talked about how teenagers are so sensitive about, they're so self-conscious, and it's a problem for them. And this boy, in his mind, this little pimple was like this huge, focus, almost like a unicorn horn or something on his head, because to him, he felt that people were viewing him as just a big pimple with legs. Well, you know what? There are a lot of adults who are walking around thinking that if they have to have hearing aids or some sort of assistive device, a cane, or, who knows, any sort of thing that might help them to have a better quality life or help their health as well. They think that everybody's noticing. For example, another example, there's my beautiful, I'll show you my beautiful cup of coffee with the beautiful crema on top, ready to drink. So I have known people who they had done something to their foot or their ankle, and they had to wear one of those great big boots on their lower leg. And they were like the teenage boy with the pimple. In the way they related about it was like they were a big assistive device on their leg, that's all people saw when they viewed them. You know what? Just get out of yourself. You're thinking, if you think that people are looking at something like that on you, some little detail on you, and focusing on that and seeing you as that one little detail, you're too much into yourself. You're thinking too much about yourself. When I was growing up, this is very good. When I was growing up, people who had disabilities, visible disabilities, really were looked upon kind of oddly. I grew up in a day and age where you didn't have, like ramps for people in wheelchairs. And actually, I think it was sort of the end of the years where if women were pregnant, they didn't even go out that much. Yeah, there was a time in history where if you were pregnant, you didn't show yourself outside, you know? It was considered like just not done. Um, and I mean, heck, these days you see ladies in bikinis who are pregnant. But anyway, um, I remember, oh, and this is going to sound terrible, but you have to understand that times were different. I remember I was a teenager, a young teenager. I met this boy. Oh, he was so cute. And, we were getting to know each other a little bit, and we were walking along the street, and he took my hand to hold my hand as we were walking. And I realized that he was missing part of a finger. It was revolting to me. It was like, ew, this is so gross. And people with physical disabilities were kind of looked down upon as if somehow they were something less as a person. Obviously he was missing part of a finger, so he was less in that way, yeah, but it doesn't affect who he is, right? And we've learned that these days. I mean, Stephen Hawking, and I mean, you can have somebody, well, anyway, things are different these days. And if you're thinking more about others rather than yourself, you might be more prone to get the things that you need in your life, whether it's a boot on your leg to help your ankle heal, or hearing aids so that you won't be missing little bits of conversation that you seem to be missing, that are maybe you're a little bit confused now and again because you're just not able to catch every sound that's coming by you. Or, like when I was growing up, if somebody, let's say, somebody was born without like their whole arm or leg or something, pretty much what they gave them would look like part of a mannequin, like a store mannequin. It would be an artificial arm. It was so obvious that it was artificial. It looked weird. And you sort of, I don't know, a lot of people would kind of shy away from somebody like that because they were different. I mean, these days, you see like even TV, God, this just TV show that I watched, and this guy has a prosthetic lower leg, and he climbs mountains and stuff like that, he has all these like different shoes that he can put on the end of that leg, to help him grip the rocks and all that sort of thing. Why? Because having something physical that's different than other people should not exclude you from living life. And, thank heavens we have so many assistive devices that are available these days. The problem is that some of us are still living with minds that were kind of schooled from back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s. And we still look at some of these kind of things like, oh, ooh, I wouldn't want that. And then if you find out maybe you need to have that, you feel like, oh no, that would make me different. People would look at me funny. People are not that interested in you. And heck, some of these things that may be very visible, unlike my hearing aids, which are, almost invisible, some of the things that are very visible Well, gee whiz, they could be really good conversation starters, right? So, one other thing, and oh, I need to make this quick because in a little over half an hour I have a counseling appointment. Yeah, I go to counseling. Do I have all kinds of deep, dark problems? Actually, no. But whether I'm feeling good or feeling bad or feeling in between, I see a counselor once or twice a month, just kind of to have somebody else, somebody emotionally unconnected with me, who's outside of my normal life, to just kind of bounce things off of, to reflect back to me, um, what they're seeing, to help me solve problems that do come up, to sort of help keep me grounded in reality, kind of. Sometimes I've shared things with my counselor, and she said, "Oh, I have so many people that come in, and say the same thing." She said, "This is so common," or, "Yes, this is actually has been discovered as being an attribute of somebody who has got this issue. There's nothing weird about you. It's understandable that you would be feeling the way you're feeling." It's been comforting. It's been challenging. It's been so helpful. You know, Back when I was growing up, so I was born in 1951. In fact, I'm going to be 70 next month. So I remember, people sort of had a little joke. They would say, "Oh, you're seeing a psychiatrist? You got to be crazy to see one of those." And, it was like a double meaning. One of the meanings was literal, like it implied only crazy people, saw psychiatrists. But the fact is that people are people. We are prone to physical weaknesses and mental weaknesses. Sometimes we need assistance physically and we need assistance mentally. So I just wanted to urge you to seek out and take advantage of what you need to improve your life and to help you lead a healthier life, both physically and mentally. And I promise you, people are not looking at you, like the teenage boy with the pimple. They're not seeing you as a great big cane or a great big wheelchair or a great big hearing aid or whatever it is. Get out of yourself. If that's what you're thinking, gee whiz, go out and help some people who need some help. Go work in a soup kitchen. Go, I don't know, do something that puts your focus on others to help other people, perhaps people less fortunate than yourself. But I promise you, people are not, when people see me, if they know that I wear hearing aids, even let's say somebody notices the hearing aid, they're not thinking, "Oh, here comes Sylvia with the hearing aids." That's ridiculous. It's no longer like it was when that boy who was missing part of a finger, God bless him, who knows what happened. Probably some kind of accident that maybe he had no control over, it just happened to him. Well, back in the 1960s, the early 1960s, that was like, ew. But now, we see real life, because those people who have had something happen to them that physically or mentally might have set them apart in past years no longer sets them apart, and they can be part of mainstream society because we recognize that there are things that happen, things that we have no control over that happen to us, and maybe things that we did to ourselves. But, it happens, right? So just like we cut other people some slack, cut yourself some slack. And if you still have that, medieval way of thinking that somebody who has a physical or mental disability is, ew, oh, I don't want to be like that. Well, change your mind, because you may find yourself like that someday, in some situation, and it's okay. Be you. Relate with other people as who they are and not just what you see on the outside. I hope this helps somebody. It's all a way of thinking, isn't it? That can change your life to be happy, open, curious, accepting challenges, or closed and just unhappy. I gotta get going. Okay, I'll talk to you later.